Hello everyone, I'm Sharpedo43 once again, bringing you all week 11 of the Nacho Gold Digger League. Today we're going to be facing Orlando Till, coach of the Orlando Till. Orlando Octillery is what I wanted to say. I meant to say Orlando Till and the Orlando Octillery. It's because that's why this I don't know if you guys even knew this, but I actually like the name Orlando Till because or Orlando Octillery just because the guy's name is Orlando Till, and since he went by the name of Orlando Octillery, it kind of just makes the name all the more fitting. So yeah, that's a pretty cool name in my opinion, not gonna lie. But anyways, we're gonna be facing him, and this is gonna be the teams that we have. I honestly didn't. This is actually like another one of those occasions where I actually don't predict a good number of his team against me today, and those three mons have to be the Embor, the Druddigon, and the Clefairy. The reason why I didn't expect these three was because honestly, Druddigon is slower by a long shot than Dragonite, and Dragonite can easily just KO it with any Dragon move. Clefable or Clefairy, jeez, I keep thinking it's Clefable. It's Clefairy. Clefairy because it's very, very weak even with Eviolite, so I didn't think he'd bring that honestly, but he did. And he brought Embor, which is also very slow, and if Sharpedo gets +1 in speed, there's Waterfall or Liquidation to take care of that. So I honestly didn't think he'd bring these three mons, and because of it, I actually did initially feel very, very relieved of that, because I honestly expected more scarier things from him, like the Honchkrow and the Ferrothorn, but he actually did not bring those, so I was like, oh. So I was thinking, I think I can actually handle this guy. Like, I was actually very, very confident that I actually could handle this guy. So, yeah, this is going to be the battle right now. This battle is actually quite long, though, and you're about to see why, though, because, yeah, there's some things that actually turn out to be a little bit more complicated than I actually expected, honestly. Because, look, here we go. He's going to lead off with the Mega Manectric, and I'm going to lead off with Sharpedo. Now, the reason why I led with Sharpedo was because I actually realized that if the Landorus T is offensive, which I was anticipating the Landorus lead over the Mega Manectric lead. I was thinking if I can actually take an Earthquake, I can actually one-hit KO even after Intimidate with Ice Fang. So that's what I was going for, but since he led with this, now I was forced to switch into Credilli and take a Volt Switch, giving him Switch Initiative. Now here, what I did obviously was go for Infestation in case he did not bring this Clefairy in, honestly. I honestly don't know exactly how bulky these Clefairies can be, so I honestly didn't even know what to expect. But yeah, after getting my, after going for the Infestation, I just get my Rocks up. He gets his Rocks up too, which is really, really annoying. And then this thing follows up with a Toxic, which is annoying. His Clefairy literally has Rocks, it has Toxic, it has, I think Soft Boil, and it also has, Moonblast just to attack things. This was unknown to me at the initially, so I went into Sylveon thinking, okay, I'm not necessarily worried about the Toxic because I have Sylveon with Heal Bell, and the Moonblast, it doesn't seem to do too much damage either to me. The Rocks is what's doing me more damage than anything else, in all honesty. So yeah, here he's gonna go into for Druddigon. I did not expect him to switch into Druddigon, in all honesty, so because of that, I went for Wish. And not to mention, I was actually anticipating more the Snorlax, so because of that, I actually went for Wish. But because he went in the Druddigon, I know these things definitely can carry Gunk Shot, so I'm gonna just go into Cofagrigus to take said Gunk Shot. And looking at this damage that it does to my physically defensive Cofagrigus, I believe. Oh no, it's not physically defensive. It's I think Spadef invested. But even then, seeing the amount of damage it did to my Cofagrigus, tell me that this was it told me that it was an offensive one. So I was like, So I switched it in. He switches out because he doesn't want to get Will-O-Wisped. I do go for the Will-O-Wisp here. He goes into Landorus T, which is fine with me, honestly. As long as he doesn't go rampant with this Landorus T, because this Landorus T was another one of these mons that I was afraid of. And seeing how there's no leftovers tells me that this is either a defensive Rocky Helmet set or a Choice Scarf set. He does go for Knockoff, which is annoying, because now I don't get any passive recovery with this thing. And I just stayed in and went for Hex, because I honestly didn't think he'd want to stay in with Landorus T. Seeing how much damage this did, though, pretty much confirms to me that it was probably an offensive Landorus. I still don't know if it was Scarf or if it was Z-move, but yeah, it was definitely offensive. And that's why I led with Mega Sharpedo in the first place, because I thought I could get the Mega up instantly and just KO the Landorus, because the Landorus was going to be a little bit of a threat in my team if I didn't get rid of it. The Mega Manectric, I felt like Sylveon and Credilli could handle it, but, you know, alas. So now he goes into this Embor, and after I took out the Landers, I think. Oh no, actually, I think he switched it out and then went into Embor instead. I switch out into Credilli. Reason why is because I didn't want to lose Cofagrigus to a Flare Blitz. And here he's going to switch out into Clefairy, which allows me to actually get a free recover, which is actually interesting because honestly I thought he was just going to KO me right there, but he didn't. He actually just switched into Credilli, or Clefairy, jeez. So now he's going to switch out once again, go back into Mega Manetric, which is once again pretty fine with me. I'm just going to go for another Earthquake, recovered, dumbass. And yeah, oh no, I actually don't go for another recover. I go for Sylveon. I switch into Sylveon because I wanted to see how much I can do with a Hyper Voice. And I think I also wanted to see if he stays in, that I can actually try to get the Heal Bell off to get rid of the Toxic on my Credilli, so that it stops getting worn down by the rocks and the Toxic. So, but because we doubled into Sylveon and Mega Manetric respectively, I just went for the Hyper Voice here. He Volt Switches and goes into this Snorlax, which, let me tell you, this thing was pretty much the biggest threat to the team because this thing can easily just set up curses and just proceed to sweep. So because of this, I make one hard switch into Pangoro. This was risky because if he went for like return or something, I could have been screwed here, but he just went for Iron Head, so he was definitely expecting me to stay in and go for more Hyper Voices, but I don't. Now here I really wanted to go for the knockoff. Or actually, I think I do go for the knockoff, but he switches in the almost dead Landers Teeth for sacking. So I do go for the knockoff actually, but I didn't think he'd sack the, well, I didn't think he'd go into Landers. I was actually expecting him to go into Clefairy. But what he's going to do now is let his Landers go down, and afterwards I'm just going to get the, or he's going to go into Embor, and forcing me to switch out again. And because I do not want to lose Pangoro just yet, I decide to sack Credilli, which is a little bad because honestly this was like the only thing I had to take hits from the Mega Manetric, and now everything else is pretty much gonna get blown away by this thing. I have to send in Sylveon because this is like the only thing I can actually take hits with, and in all honesty I just need to put it in range of my Sharpedo to take it out with Aqua Jet, because yeah, I do actually carry Aqua Jet on my Sharpedo this time around. Here I go for Wish. I actually surprisingly survived the Flare Blitz. I thought I wasn't. I just went for Wish on the off chance I did survive, and I actually did survive, which was actually surprising. But now here I go for Protect because I definitely do not want to risk this thing taking me out with another Flare Blitz, because Wish doesn't go anywhere else if I lose Sylveon. So yeah, here I go for Protect. It fails. I do get the Wish off, and I do get Leftovers off. And I think here's where I decide to Protect once again to see what it wants to do, and also so I can get some recovery. He could predict this Protect and then just switch into Snorlax or something, but I was hoping he wouldn't. Thankfully he didn't. He actually did try to be fancy and go for Volt Switch, so I did get some additional recovery here left. But now here I think I try to go for another Wish just to you know, get recovery. There was a part of me that here that wanted to go for Hyper Voice, because if I gotten rid of that Manetric sooner, I probably would have had less problems in all honesty. But because I went for Wish instead of Hyper Voice, now he can just easily switch into Snorlax, which really sucks. I'm gonna go for Protect for nothing basically, because I honestly thought he was gonna just try to like Volt Switch again or something, but he actually Hard Switches instead, which is kind of annoying. So now I have to switch out because I do not want to take an Iron Head. He's gonna go, or I'm gonna go into Cofagrigus, and he's gonna go for the Curse, which was what I was afraid of. So what I want to do right now is go for Will-O-Wisp. I'm honestly hoping that this is not an annoying rest set, because if it's rest, it'd just be way too annoying to deal with. He does have the Leftovers though, which is good to know. So it's good to know that it's not a Resto Chesto set, because those are even more annoying honestly. So yeah, here he's gonna just Hard Switch into Clefairy, which doesn't give a shit about the Will-O-Wisp because it's a special attacker and it has Magikarp, so he's not even gonna take residual damage from the Will-O-Wisp. This forces me to switch out and go back into Sylveon. Reason being is because if he tries to go for Toxic, I have Heal Bell. He does try to go for Toxic on my Sylveon right here. I think I tried to go for a Heal Bell right here. I don't remember, but yeah. Because I'm trying to keep this Sylveon healthy, because that Embor is still there and it can definitely just come in at any given time if he predicts me to do something passive. But what he's gonna do is just go for the Hard Switch into Snorlax. And I actually don't go for Heal Bell, unfortunately. I actually go for the Wish, because I was thinking if he Hard Switches in Embor, I can take a hit and then maybe go for Heal Bell afterwards. But he ends up going into Snorlax, unfortunately. And this actually forces me to switch out. And I go straight into Cofagrigus just to see if I can take a a normal type move, but he's just gonna go for another curse. Or Iron Head, I meant to say, not normal type move. Iron Head. But he actually just goes for a curse. I do get my wish up though, which is really, really good because unfortunately my Clefairy doesn't have leftovers anymore, so I can't even get any other recovery outside of wish passing. So I do have another chance at like maybe trying to get the Will-O-Wisp off, but he just insists on going into well, here he goes into Emboar, but before he would always go into Clefairy, which is, yeah, really, really annoying. Because he predicted this switch, unfortunately, and I did not go for Hex, I now am forced to switch out into Dragonite and take a very, very powerful hit, except not really because it was an Earthquake, which my Dragonite is immune to. I didn't expect him to go for Earthquake, in all honesty. I thought he was just going to go for the Flare Blitz. But yeah, here I go for E-Speed on this thing, on this Clefairy switching, and as you can see, it literally does nothing. And this was what I was afraid of, honestly. And this is where I started to realize that I actually don't have anything for Clefairy. Because my Sylveon is defensive and Hyper Voice, it doesn't do really a lot, especially with the Eviolite. And Pangoro, because it has the Eviolite, it's not going to be able to do anything with Ice Punch or anything. And Dragonite can't do anything with E-Speed. And Sharpedo, I think the only thing, it can probably do some damage with Liquidation, which is a move that I have on Sharpedo, but it's not going to be enough to take it out as long as it has the Eviolite, in all honesty. So basically, I had no coverage for that Clefairy. Jeez, I keep saying Clefable, damn it. But yeah, he goes into Snorlax now after I did some like shenanigans there. And I'm just going to switch out because I do not want to get Iron-Headed still. I hard switched into Pangoro here because I wanted to see if he'd maybe try to go for Curse this time. But he does not. So here, because he got a Curse up, I definitely wanted to, or I don't think he went for a Curse. He went for an Iron-Head, I think. I was hoping that maybe, just maybe, he'll switch out now. But he does into Emboar, which is basically a sack. And because he saw that I went for Hammer Arm, he's just going to go into Mega Manectric, which is faster than my Pangoro, get an Intimidate off, and force me to switch out again. And unfortunately, because I lost Credilli, now I literally just have to sack something. And I decided to, not sack, but I did decide to sack Sylveon. On the off chance he just stayed in and went for Thunderbolts. But he actually goes for Volt Switch, which does allow me to live actually a hit. But he's now just going to go back into Snorlax on the pivot. Me not having Volt Switch immunity on this team at all, like in my entire draft in general, is really what's biting me in the ass in this battle right now. Because honestly, like, it's not like I can just switch in on a ground type predicting him to go for a Volt Switch. I literally don't have anything. I had Credilli, which at least resists hits, but overall he gets a lot of momentum because of the freaking Volt Switch U-turning from Landorus and Mega Manectric. So, yeah. Here I think I went for Protect, I don't remember. Yeah, and then I just switch out just to get some, you know, recovery. Now I'm going to hard switch into Clefairy because I think he's going to try to go for a Curse again. And he does. This sucks because honestly, had I went into Pangoro, I wanted to go into Pangoro, but it was getting weakened, so I didn't want to risk him just getting another Iron Head off and then just taking me out. Or putting me in range of where switching out again will cause me to go down to rocks, because he did get his rocks up, by the way. And I don't have any hazard remover on this team, so yeah. Here I try to go for a Will-O-Wisp, it goes back into Clefairy, and now I have to switch out yet again back into Sylveon. He's probably going to go for the Toxic. Because of that Volt Switch that I had to take from Manectric, unfortunately, here I'm put in a predicament where I actually have to choose whether I want to go for Wish or for Heal Bell. I think what I do here is actually go for Wish, but here's where I actually commit like somewhat of a misplay. I think it's a misplay actually, because what I do here is go for Wish, which is fine. But here, after this Moonblast, just looking at the damage, maybe I didn't look at it carefully, but after looking at the damage, I was kind of hoping that after Leftovers and the Toxic, that I'd be able to maybe take the Moonblast okay. So instead of going for the Protect to get a lot of my HP back, I decided to just go for the Heal Bell right here. And because of this, now I lose Sylveon. And this is really bad because this was the last thing I had to at least take a hit or two from the Mega Manectric. And now I literally don't have anything. And now I'm forced to send in Pangoro and just go for the knockoff so that I can get rid of that Eviolite, so that Sharpedo can then just take it out. Because this Moonblast, Pangoro's X-Full weak to it. It's not going to be able to take it whatsoever, even from a defensive little Clefairy, in all honesty. This is why this Clefairy actually turned out to be a big pain in the rear end, because 3 things were weak to its fairy typing, and what wasn't weak to it necessarily just couldn't touch it. Look at this, for example. I go into Clefairy after losing Sylveon. He's going to go for Soft Boil. I go for Hex, and even though I knocked off the Eviolite, it's still not even doing over half with Hex. Although a lot of that has to probably do with the fact that I also invested a a lot of Spadef on this Cofagrigus. But even then, I still thought that at least it would do over half because it's still stab and it's boosted by the Hex through the Will-O-Wisp. But alas, it did under half, and now it actually forces me to hard switch in the Sharpedo, because I feel like if it took it this well, the Hex, it's probably because it's Spadef invested, which means that its defense is probably not invested whatsoever. So I decided to just hard switch in the Sharpedo. Hopefully it does not go for Moonblast, and then just Mega Evolve and hit it with a Liquidation, which is what I do right here. I Mega Evolve instantly because I don't need the speed boost, aside from this Mega Man trick, which I already go for Liquidation anyways on switch in. And it does survive, unfortunately, which is really, really annoying. It's all thanks to that stupid Intimidate. But, like I said, I do have Aqua Jet on this Sharpedo, so I am able to take out this Mega Manectric. But because of the Intimidate, I'm not sure I can actually take out the Clefairy now with a Moonblast, with a Liquidation. Especially this Snorlax, because this Snorlax was really what I was afraid of. This thing remained healthy all throughout the entirety that I had Pangoro, and now that I lost it, now he can easily sit up on me. Here I hard switch in the Dragonite, hoping he goes for Curse and not anything else. He does go for Curse, and unfortunately here I just have to make a 50-50. I have to predict whether or not he's going to switch back into Clefairy, knowing that I don't have any coverage for it. So what I'm going to do here is just YOLO and just pop out this Devastating Drake against this Snorlax, hoping that it can maybe take it out. I did not get any Dragon Dances up, unfortunately, and he has +1 defense, but I was kind of hoping that maybe it's an offensive set, or maybe it's defensive, or something, and it would not be enough to take me out. So, like, I was just hoping that I'd just be able to take this out, period. But as you can see, it didn't even take it to the red, unfortunately, so yeah, I'm basically in trouble. Thankfully, he goes for Double Edge, because this actually weakens it enough to the point where I can, maybe conceivably take it out with Sharpedo, but unfortunately, because of the leftovers that I completely forgot I had, I didn't think I'd be able to take it out with Sharpedo with a Crunch, especially since the Devastating Drake wasn't able to freaking take it out. So I just decided to send in Cofagrigus, which was probably a safe play. But unfortunately here I got kind of desperate and decided to go for the freaking Will-O-Wisp instead of the Hex. Had I gone for the Hex here, I might have at least been able to stall out this Clefairy out of the soft boiling PP. But unfortunately now, because I went for Will-O-Wisp, now it outspeeds me, and now can just proceed to Toxic me. I could have hard switched in the Sharpedo here, but I was just afraid he'd try to go for Moonblast, because I felt like he lost nothing now just going for a bunch of soft boils, or just Moonblast, because I can't really do anything to this Clefairy. So now I decided to hard switch in the Sharpedo, hoping that he goes for the soft boil, which was risky because he didn't have to go for soft boil here, honestly, but he does. And here I'm just gonna go for Liquidation. This Sharpedo I think is Jolly still. So I'm actually hoping that Liquidation is still enough to take it out from where it's at, because it did take some damage. And thankfully, it is actually able to take out this Clefairy, which is really, really good, because that stupid Clefairy was really giving me trouble, honestly, surprisingly, because I honestly did not expect it to give me this much trouble. And it was just literally due to the lack of coverage for that damn thing, which is ridiculous. Here, he goes in the Draudigon, and then this is where I was like, what the? It actually carried Sucker Punch, because I did not expect it, honestly. This also reveals that it was actually Life Orb, which I wasn't even aware of until that very turn in the battle, basically. So, because I lost Sharpedo, I was going to go for Ice Fang just to see if I can take it out, but I did not expect Sucker Punch on this Draudigon, honestly. I didn't even know I could get Sucker Punch, honestly. But then again, I don't even use Draudigons, so, or see Draudigons in battle very often, so obviously, how can you possibly expect me to know? I didn't. So yeah, and Cofagrigus, yeah, it was slow, gets outraged, and I lose battle 2-0. Which is unfortunate. So we're gonna basically lose this battle in the NGDL 2-0, which it was very infuriating in all honesty, especially because the Clefairy alone was really, really annoying in the battle. But in all honesty, it could have been worse, honestly. Like, the outcome of this battle could have been a lot worse. I could have gotten 4-0 if anything. But it was a 2-0, and the battle was actually really, really good, unfortunately. Yeah, I say unfortunately because I still lost the battle. But it was a really good battle, because there was almost no RNG that actually influenced the outcome of this battle, I think. If there was, point it out in the comments if you guys want. But yeah, that's going to be the whole game. Good game to Orlando Till. Thank you all for watching week 11 of the NGDL. Stay tuned for week 12. And I think that's all I got to say. But yeah, for now, just take it easy.